Hey, sister friend, I'm so very glad you are here. Welcome to a Transforming Life podcast where you awaken your spirit, you renew your mind, and you transform your life. Have you ever felt like you're living but not fully you? Have you ever felt lost or stuck or disconnected? Have you been going through life without clarity or identity? Today, we're going to dive into the real truths and ask the real questions. Who are you truly at your core? Your inner man, what's on the inside of you? Not who people say you are, not where you've come from, not what you've been through, but who are you? This episode is about identity and discovery. I'm your host, Pamela Denise, and I invite you to go on this journey with me. And so when we talk about our journey, we want to talk about why is it that so many people why do women feel lost? We know our roles, right? And when I say feel lost, we know our roles. We know we're moms, we're grandmoms, we're sisters, we're entrepreneurs, we're employees, we're business women. We know our roles. We know our responsibilities. We know what our survival mode is, right? Our routine, our regular thing. We do this day in and day out. But sometimes we really get stuck with what is our purpose. We get stuck with who we are in God as a believer. We get stuck with what are our true desires. We don't believe certain things. We either maybe we used to believe and we stopped believing. And so let's talk about this because I believe behind every what, there's a why. Why do we feel the way we do? Why do we think the way we do? Why are we making the decisions that we make? And so when we look at where do we start in this process, it first starts with discovering yourself internally. So let's be real. Like sometimes we just don't know who we are. If you've been like me, and I almost feel sometimes ashamed to say it because I'm in the latter part of my life. So I've been through some life. But I felt like I really did not understand who I was. I'm not what people say I am. I've had people say good things about me and people say bad things about me. And occasionally I would tap into that. Well, when my family said I was bad, right? Because I was running away from home and I was hanging with the wrong people and I wasn't doing right and skipping school. People didn't understand that. They said I was bad, but they didn't understand what was behind that, right? They didn't understand the emotional stronghold behind that. My parents are divorcing. My mother, I'm feeling so disconnected and so upset and so angry. And sometimes our emotions cause us to do things that don't make sense, right? And so when you understand, in my process, my parents divorcing and my mom left, right? When my mom left, I felt like my identity left with her. Like, why would my mom leave? My mom is the woman who birthed me, and she left. And so my identity throughout the years, unknowingly, was who am I? Who do I belong to? What's my journey? And so I have been on a journey, you guys, for years trying to figure out who I am. But I was attaching that identity with what I did, what kind of job I had, where did I go, who did I surround myself with. And I had to understand it wasn't until I came into the fullness, when you begin to the transformation, that spiritual part and the emotional part and the journey. It starts with self-awareness. When you start to identify these things, you get still, you be honest with yourself, you look in the mirror, you be authentic. I had to look at myself and say, what have I been avoiding about me? What do I truly desire? I don't want to identify with who everybody says I am. I don't want to identify with what the world says I am. I want to know who God says I am. What have I been settling for? What have I just been dealing with? Why have I been in such a mundane existence, if you will? God said he comes that we have life and have it more abundantly. Why is my life not abundant? It's okay, but I want to go beyond ordinary. And so who you are isn't something you create. It's something I believe you uncover. It's something you discover because there's something already on the inside of you. It's our mission and our job to discover who that is, to uncover it and develop it. And a lot of that has to do with spending time in prayer. That's that spiritual foundation, reading scripture, journaling. I had to get to a point where I always felt like I wasn't good with my thoughts. I could talk better than I could write. And so for me to journal my thoughts or emotions, I was like, I avoided it for so long because maybe I didn't really want to deal with it. And that's sometimes how we deal with things. We don't deal with it. But we have to identify and challenge those limiting beliefs. Journal our thoughts, our emotions, our reactions, our revelations. I had a pastor say to me a long time ago. He spoke to me, he prophesied to me and said, the Lord's going to speak to you in dreams and visions. Write them down. And for a long time after that, I would go to bed every night with a journal, a notebook, or something on the side of my bed. And I was like, okay, well, he said God was going to speak to me, but I don't hear God speaking to me. I had to challenge those self-limiting beliefs. You know what those beliefs were? I've done too much wrong for God to speak to me. I haven't done right. Why would he choose me? I'm not the right one. I don't have it on the inside of me. But when you surround yourself with growth-minded, faith-filled people that can sometimes gird you up when you can't gird yourself up, that can sometimes see more in you than you see in yourself, then you're on a good track. So it's a part of identifying all of these things. When we also look at what keeps us from moving forward, oh my goodness, let's dive into some of that. And I probably have said it, I don't know how many times, but I'm going to go into it. I think there's two things that keep us from moving forward. Internal barriers and external barriers. So under the internal barriers, we look at fear, failure, rejection, the fear of the unknown, the fear of moving forward, the fear of not being in control. You stay where you're comfortable, even when it's unfulfilling, right? And I know I've stayed in a job for a long time because I was comfortable in what I knew and afraid of what I didn't know, right? I was unfulfilled. I was going through the same cycles until God had to remove me from the jobs, not once, but twice, because I was too comfortable. And so to me, that was a wake-up call, like maybe God's trying to get my attention. For me to be removed from 2 jobs within 3 years was God's way of saying, maybe it's time for you to do something else. And so I thank God for the journey now, because that time away has allowed me to spend more time with him and has awakened my spirit and has renewed my mind, and it's transforming my life. And so, with identifying these things, we also look at pain and rejection, right? Which can shape a false identity of us. When we're rejected, we begin to believe that something's wrong with us. What did I do? Why didn't they love me enough? Why didn't they want me around long enough? Why didn't they stay? And so that's that false identity. It's doubt and insecurity. Those are lies from the pit of hell. You understand me? Because we are not what we've been through. We are what God has created us, who God created us to be on the inside. We deal with overthinking. I've been there. Sometimes we overthink ourselves right out of a blessing. We overthink ourselves out of something good because we don't believe in ourselves. Or here's another one. We compare ourselves. Comparison kills, y'all. I know, I've been through that journey too. Where I was like, not jealous of people, because I'm always a rejoicer. I'm happy with those that are happy, right? And I have much empathy and compassion. And so if you're feeling good, I'm feeling good with you. If you're not feeling good, I'm going to be down with you, right? Sometimes we have to set the atmosphere, but that's a whole nother episode. But comparison, looking at everybody else, look at how far they've gone, look at what they're going through. We don't need to compare ourselves to anybody but ourselves. right? Because what God put on the inside of them is for them. What God has for you is for you. We have to start recognizing what is for us and own it. Walk in the fullness of who God has created you to be. And sometimes, you guys, what keeps us is the version of you that you refuse to let go because you're just stuck in that place. And so those are the internal barriers that keep us. And then there's external barriers, right? So the first one is dealing with all the baggage that we have on the inside of us. And now the next one that keeps us, from moving forward are the external barriers, which are toxic environments, toxic relationships. And it is still a part of internal, but it's who we deal with on the outside. Like, you in that relationship you don't need to be in, right? They're abusive. You're not in the right place. You don't need to be at that club. That you don't need to be hanging around the people you hanging around because they are not, I've heard it said that you are the sum of the 5 people you hang around. If you hang around broke people, you're going to be broke. When you hang around people that can mentor you and guide you and lead you, and I said it before, see the good in you that you may not be able to see in yourself. People that speak life into your life. Those are the kind of people you need guidance from. I don't want to get guidance from somebody about finances who is not in the best place financially. No judgment, because we've all been there. I've been in bad places too. But you have to surround yourself with who you want to be like and who you want to become. Right? And so those are the external barriers that I think about. And then the spiritual barriers. I didn't mention this part, but the spiritual barriers are not are barriers that we've created ourselves when we lack faith in God. We lack trust because we want to have it all figured out, right? We know you, God, but I got this, right? Identity rooted in the world instead of the truth of God, right? And the word says to not be conformed to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of our minds, right? And so those are barriers that keep us bound when we don't spend time. And I'm gonna say the spiritual barrier is not really a spirit. It's us and our spiritual walk, right? Because God is always there, ready and waiting and able to take us in, to lead and guide us, to correct us, to chastise us, to love us, to gird us up, to comfort us and to be everything to us. So that barrier is not always necessarily our spirit, it's us. And so here's what it takes, right? For us to go on this journey that I believe would help us in our journey. And I will say it probably in every podcast episode, is our foundation is in God, right? It's in spending time with Him. It's in spending time in His Word. It's in getting your emotions, your thoughts in check and in order, right? Because we have all of these distractions that keep us off point to where sometimes we can't hear ourselves, right? We're constantly distracted. It takes an inner healing. The journey is so massive, right? That it entails so many different variables, spiritually, emotionally, physically, mentally. When we tie all of these in together, right? It's, our journey of discovery. It's our journey that keeps us moving forward. We don't all have it figured out. I'm not there yet, you guys, right? I said earlier that my journey began, I feel like, in all honesty, in the last year is when my spiritual transformation, where I feel like my journey really, really, really began. It started way before I knew it, but now is where I feel like I'm feeling the fruit of it, the results of it, because now I'm obedient. I hear from God more. I'm spending more time with God. I'm spending more time in His presence. I'm recognizing, I'm looking in the mirror at Pam. I'm not looking out the window at everybody else. I'm not looking at what the world is doing and how the world is responding. I am examining myself. There's a scripture that says, create in me a clean heart and renew a right spirit within me. That is my heart's desire. is that God create in us a clean heart. Help us to know who we are in you. That is what the journey is. When we begin to understand who we are, I believe that nothing is impossible. It's so significant, our identity, and I really never understood it until I realized that I didn't know who I was, and now I realize who I am. I'm a child of God. I am above only and not beneath, and not in it. That's not in a haughty way, but the word of God says that. And so if I believe God, I'm going to believe what his word says, right? He says that I'm lender to the borrower. So there's a time where, what you got? I need you. What do you need? I got you. Right? And there just comes a time that when you understand who you are, you walk in the authority that God has given you. I used to walk in a room and feel so hidden is the right word, hidden. I'd like to be in the back of the room. I'd come to church, sit in the back, get my word, and go on about my day. I'd be in different business meetings, and even at work, I come in, I do my work, I leave, I do whatever. We're used to our roles, we know those, but you're not walking in the authority. Now, one thing I will say, I've never been ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ. So everybody that knows me or any presence I was in, they knew that I know Jesus, that I love the Lord. They didn't know, however, that I wasn't walking in the word and walking with the Lord like I should have. And when you discover who you are, then you discover your purpose and you discover who you were created to be. I heard a quote from Mark Twain. I believe it was, I didn't hear it, I read it because he's been gone a long time. He said, there are the two most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why. And I have been on a journey to find that why, because there's more to life than just existing. It's more to life than just being ordinary. And not for my glory. It's not so that I could be seen, because I'm the furthest person. I would rather not be seen and not be heard. But I'm in a season where now it's time to be heard and to be seen, and that God be glorified and that his people be edified. That is my journey. That is my purpose, to share the love of God, to share that transformation is possible, to help other women understand that no matter where you've been, what you've been through, or what time it is, that it is possible for you. It is so possible. And I didn't think it was possible for me, but I'm here to tell you it's real. We have to let go of false identities. Who you became to survive is not always who you were created to be. Some of us have been through some stuff, right? But that's not who you are on the inside. The strength that you have to overcome those things is what you have on the inside. But we have to stop waiting for perfection. I've waited. We have to move anyway. Just move when you're called to move. Do what you're called to do. Do what you know is on the inner man, what you feel on the inside, right? And don't worry about the end result. Because if it's something God has called you to, he's gonna help you through it. I don't have the whole picture with everything with my life, but I know that this is something that's been in my heart. And so I just encourage you to move. I encourage you to trust God in the process. You won't have it all figured out. Growth will definitely feel uncomfortable, but you get developed in the process. I beat myself up for a long time figuring, I'm older now, and what I should have had done years ago or whatever. Delayed does not mean denied. God is always on time. It's never too late for you to change, to improve, and to transform. You are not disqualified. You are in the process of becoming. And so embrace it, embrace your journey, walk in your authority, the journey of discovery. If this spoke to you, I'd like you to type discovery in the chat. I'd like you to share this episode. So thanks once again for joining me with a Transforming Life podcast. Until we meet again, be blessed.